Bungee jumping is an activity that involves jumping from a tall structure while connected to a large elastic cord. The tall structure is usually a fixed object, such as a building, bridge or crane, but it is also possible to jump from a movable object, such as a hot air balloon or helicopter, that has the ability to hover above the ground. The thrill comes from the free falling and the rebound. When the person jumps, the cord stretches and the jumper flies upwards again as the cord recoils and continues to oscillate up and down until all the kinetic energy is dissipated. The first modern bungee jumps were made on 1 April 1979 from the 250-foot Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol by David Kirke and Simon Keeling, both members of the Oxford University Dangerous Sports Club. The jumpers were arrested shortly after, but continued with jumps in the US from the Golden Gate Bridge and the Royal Gorge Bridge, spreading the concept worldwide. By 1982, they were jumping from mobile cranes and hot air balloons. Organised commercial bungee jumping began with the New Zealander, A.J. Hackett, who made his first jump from Auckland's Greenhithe Bridge in 1986. During the following years, Hackett performed a number of jumps from bridges and other structures, building public interest in the sport and opening the world's first permanent commercial bungee site, the Kirke Bridge Bungee at the Royal Gorge Suspension Bridge near Queenstown in the South Island of New Zealand. Hackett remains one of the largest commercial operators, with concerns in several countries. Several million successful jumps have taken place since 1980. This safety record is attributable to bungee operators rigorously conforming to standards and guidelines governing jumps, such as double-checking calculations and fittings for every jump. As with any sport, injuries can still occur, and there have been fatalities. A relatively common mistake in fatality cases is to use a cord that is too long. The cord should be substantially shorter than the height of the jumping platform to allow it room to stretch. When the cord becomes taut and then is stretched, the tension in the cord progressively increases. Initially, the tension is less than the jumper's weight, and the jumper continues to accelerate downwards. At some point, the tension equals the jumper's weight, and the acceleration is temporarily zero. With further stretching, the jumper has an increasing upward acceleration, and at some point, has zero vertical velocity before recoiling upward. See also potential energy for a discussion of the spring constant, and the force required to distort bungee cords and other spring-like objects. The Blaauwkrans River Bridge was the first bridge to be bungee jumped off in Africa, when Face Adrenaline introduced bungee jumping to the African continent in 1990. Blaauwkrans Bridge Bungee has been operated commercially by Face Adrenaline since 1997, and is the highest commercial bridge bungee in the world. In April 2008, a 37-year-old Durban man, Karl Moskadinaja, made bungee jumping history when he jumped off a 30m tower attached to a bungee cord made entirely of 18,500 condoms. The word bungee originates from West Country dialect of English language, meaning anything thick and squat, as defined by James Jennings in his book Observations of Some of the Dialects in the West of England, published 1825. Around 1930, the name became used for a rubber razor. The land diving of Pentecost Island in Vanuatu is an ancient ritual in which young men jumped from tall wooden platforms with vines tied to their ankles as a test of their courage and passage into manhood. Unlike in modern bungee jumping, land divers intentionally hit the ground, but the vines absorb sufficient force to make the impact non-lethal. The land diving ritual on Pentecost has been claimed as an inspiration by A.J. Hackett, prompting calls from the islanders' representatives for compensation for what they view as the unauthorized appropriation of their cultural property.